Okay, our next session is the future of hospitality, but more from the private sector side, the Saudi private sector side, which is really interesting because we probably haven't had really that conversation yet during the conference. It's been more about the public sector and the brands to a great extent. And so to join me on stage, I've got these three wonderful gentlemen. Mohammed Amir, CEO of Ames Hospitality. Mohammed, come and join us. Saleh bin Habdan, CEO of Taiba Investment. Saleh. And then Dr. Adel, Ezzat, CEO of Elaf Group.
أعتقد صالح
Great. Salam alaikum.
عليكم السلام.
Thank you for joining us. We're a bit on the late shift at the moment, but we still have a great attendance, a good audience. But we can have a nice chat between the four of us. So just a little bit, I suppose, a brief overview. 9 hotels, 3 brands. You manage and own your own hotels. Mohammed, you own and develop hotels, primarily bring in management companies, but you've done this now, third-party management company, which is interesting, which we're going to talk about. And Saleh, you are a big investor, developer in Medina. And you bring in the brands to manage your properties. So what I want to ask is, I know there was a question when Jerry and John were on the stage by the CEO of Al-Hokar, Fahad Al-Fahaz, who asked about, we're hearing a lot about the public sector, but what about the private sector? What's happening with the private sector? Are you beginning to see that sort of engagement with the public sector as well as we just had on the other panel? You see that activity and engagement with the brands. Maybe, Adel, maybe we can start off with you.
Thank you very much. Maybe I would like to start by expressing deep appreciation and thanks to the custodian of Holy Mosques, King Salman and Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, for putting this industry in the heart of Vision 2030. And now we're living the kingdom of opportunities. Saudi Arabia is full of opportunities, not only in this industry, but we're talking about hospitality and tourism. In particular, we find it in private sector is very exciting in the coming years. I believe I've been into different industries, but looking at hospitality and the way that the public sector is playing, I see that there are 3 dimensions there. First of all, they're focusing on the regulations, and they're using a very innovative approach by opening the dialogue with the private sector. So we talk a lot with the people in the public sector about the regulations in this industry, and we wish that this dialogue would continue. The other thing you were discussing in the previous panels, which is the funding of the projects at multiple scales, which is, for example, TDF is doing today. So this is a great move, and we all in the private sector are leveraging that support from the government and from the public sector. Last but not least, which is something initial for us, it is the investment that the government and us in the private sector integrating these efforts in investing in the human capital in Saudi Arabia to elevate the level of caliber we have in this, I would say, new industry. With the massive transformation happening in this industry, it is new for Saudis. We've got 1.5 million jobs coming in the pipeline, so a lot of investment are needed from the public sector. And as well from the private sector, we will be providing the on-job training and the facilities for the Saudi young talents, males and females, to come and work and have the training. And we wish to have more institutes specialized in letting Saudis to be at the best caliber, where Saudi Arabia taking the tourism industry to be in, class one in the world. So the Saudi calibers has to be up to that level. So these three dimensions are integrated between the public sector and the private sector. What I'm really happy that the government is ahead of us. So it facilitates the move of everybody. And this is something great. It happened with the launch of the vision, that the government is always ahead of the game, ahead of the private sector, helping us, supporting us, facilitating. We're looking forward to see more of that. And we would love always to collaborate with public sector in that. Okay.
Saleh, what about yourself? When it comes to the public sector, is there any challenges there? Is there any threats? What are the opportunities?
I think in addition to what Dr. Adel, he mentioned about all the facilitation and all the initiatives that was done by the government, and what we have seen as a result now. I mean, what we've seen yesterday from STR reports, that's the improvement that comes out of this facilitation and comes out of these initiatives. But maybe the debate now is related to what's the governments now through the PIF companies, maybe they're doing as a mega project, and whether this is a threat or maybe something like this to the private sector. The way I see it, it's an opportunity, to be honest with you, because what they're doing now is they're going to the areas where they creating demand, where they have known that they are going to put enough regulations that will help to facilitate and increase the demands in these areas. Also mitigating the risk for the private sector for going into areas that may be unknown and maybe big financing, that require big financing, that the private sector, I'm sure they would it would not be feasible for them as IRR as of these unknowns, and also maybe high risk that they're going to maybe areas that it's new, that's depend on sometimes that how much regulation that the governments will put, and also when. So once the governments, they're putting all these together, and they're putting the demand and putting that make it easier for the public or private sector that they can have reasonable risk with the feasible IRR, where they can also start expanding these areas. I think this is becoming an opportunity. So what they're doing now, I think it's enabling these areas for private sector that would maybe they're not going to do it maybe according to the situation right now with the high risk and unknowns parameters. But once it's established as infrastructure, as creating demand, the private sector, they love to go there and do their investment. Of course, they need to prepare themselves from now, and they have to understand what's the requirements, what the demands may be anticipated, so that they can maybe quantify what's the supply that they have to work on.
Yeah, and it seems like there's some good collaboration going on as well, doesn't there, with the public sector in terms of classification, room classification, the products that you need to do. I mean, it's a learning process as well, isn't it? But it seems to be getting there. Mohammed, do you have anything to add on this?
Next question. And I think the gentleman has said it all. First of all, let me thank the audience. This is the second day, end of the day, and we have that much of audience, so thank you so much. I want to thank also Dur for hosting this and doing this fantastic event, and you, Jonathan and Bench, for the opportunity. Now, definitely, the gentleman has said all of it. I think there was a learning process. I think that we are seeing a change. Government agencies have been proactive, listening, and learning, and they're proud of it. And they're not really saying that. So, and I think we had this fear before. We had the issue that shall we do, shall we not? Are we competitors to the mega project, to the giga project, to the whatever type of project? But I think now we are most, let's say, relaxed now, since the partnership is really the title of the next is the next move.
Yeah. Okay. Just looking at how the Vision 2030 is, and we're seeing the growth from the giga projects. Just tell us a little bit about where the private sector is going in this space as well. So what are your growth plans in order to hit that 2030 target? Are you also gearing up massively as well at the moment?
Well, I think in Elaf, we've been in the market for more than 35 years, but we were concentrating on the western region, the holy cities. And now we are launching new brands to go beyond our comfort zone, moving to the rest of the kingdom, starting with the Riyadh, then moving to other cities in the north and the south. So we have very aggressive plan to double our hotel portfolio network in the coming five years, away from the holy cities. We'll keep our focus, of course, on operation in the holy cities, but we are going to launch new brand outside of the holy cities soon. On the other side, I think with the ambitious target of 100 million visitors coming by 2030, we believe that there will be a lot of other things more than the infrastructure, which is the activities in the kingdom. People, whether from Saudi or coming from abroad, they will be looking for activities. Activities still not up to the standards in Saudi, so we have very strong plans to tap into the DMC business. Today, activities happens offline. We want to take them online, and we'd like also to elevate these type of activities that people will be looking for. We're very lucky in Elaf because we have a company that work in multiple pieces of the entire value chain of hospitality. We are in the hotel business, we're in Umrah business, we're in tourism business, we are in OTAs as well. And looking at the value chain, there are a lot of opportunities to create the synergy among this chain and come up with new initiatives, especially in the digital tourism, where we're going to launch more than one project in the digital tourism during this year. On the other fact, the Umrah business is going to be an appealing business where Muslims are coming to the holy places, but today with different focus. We want to take those Muslims to see the kingdom. We want to exhibit the kingdom of hospitality, show them what is Saudi Arabia, where they can go. I mean, there are a lot of chances to do this itineraries with the pilgrims, where they can visit Jeddah, Al-Ula, Riyadh, and South as well, and North areas where we have a nice coast on the sea.
Can I just pick up on that?
Yeah.
So we're running the Destination Tomorrow series on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism. So our first one was in Al-Asa, the next one in June is in Al-Baha. So there's a real objective to develop the secondary destinations in the kingdom at the moment. Is that also of interest to the private sector?
Yes, that's true. We are in Elaf interested in both the main cities, Riyadh, Jeddah, Dammam, and also the secondary cities where we see a lot of potentials there. You go to the south, for example, you have Al-Baha, Abha, very nice places. We don't have a lot of quality keys over there. So this is the role where you can come and invest, and not only in putting the hotels, but putting also the platforms for the activities in a very good standards where people can go and visit and enjoy and have the experience. Today, if you look into the population of Saudi, I'm talking about the locals, I would say 65 to 70% of the locals are from, unlike this group of Generation X, they are Generation Y and Z, where those guys are very different from all of the old generations. They're focusing on the social media. They're taking their decisions rapidly. They would like to pay electronically. They're on the internet. They care about the personalization and the brand experience. So even for us as a hotel operator, we have to change the mindset, the way we do business today, the way we receive our guests, and move into the brand intimacy concept versus the conventional way of doing business.
Okay, great. Mohammed, how have you, as a business, how have you innovated over the last 2 years, given what we've gone through? Give us an idea of how you have transformed.
Well, we are also the same, probably a longer time investor in Saudi, and mostly in Mecca. One of the things that now we are thinking, just picking up on Adel's comment here, there's a huge potential even in Mecca, Medina, okay, on untapped products. Has not been done yet. We see, for example, very, very clear demand for branded residences. We never thought about this before 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And now, with anticipation of the new laws, the real estate laws that belong to Mecca and Medina, we see this as a potential. We have a huge demand, a huge questions from all around the Muslim world to own in Mecca, and I think this is now under process, so that the law will be released soon. From the other market, I think we have gone through a process of going outside our comfort zone. Our comfort zone is where is the city hotel, which major city, what is the positioning, what type, what brand, and so on. So we went away from this. In our board, you see now eco-lodge, you see some of the sort of nature-related inhabitation models. We think that is missing yet, and there is a huge opportunity in that not only for international tourism, even for local tourism. And now probably this is the first time, because all these channels of funding, of supporting, of marketing, promoting is available. So we can capture that. We even went to another step, even to go ahead and just do the prerequisite of managing things. So yesterday we signed an agreement with an international operator in Europe. So we could develop that model, not necessarily for all our hotels, but some of them, they probably need specific needs, flexibility more that the brand could not provide. So we have gone through a lot of these. I think these are examples of unconventional way of really approaching developing our projects.
Okay. Just bringing on the announcement we made at this conference of your partnership with Sophos Hotels on the third-party management. Tell us a little bit about that and the opportunities you see for third-party management in the kingdom.
I think that's the next step in management. It has been done in Europe and the States probably long time ago. I think it's coming now, especially with the pressure of really. Now, the challenge is faced by the owner and by the operator. Some of the discussion we had earlier today between the audience and the panelists shows that. Definitely, the model that the brand will operate, the hotel, is valid and it's needed, but not necessarily across all classification of the hotels, and not all the location. And this is where the third-party management came in. Yesterday, there was a panel on this, and it's obvious. It will give you more flexibility for the owner and more flexibility even for the brand to be away from really getting into things that chain-wide they cannot cover easily. That eventually will go into the bottom line. That will increase the bottom line. So brands are important, definitely, and third-party operators are important equivalently. And I think all the models that are coming up and the equity, I think what's coming on now is basically that we will position Saudi Arabia for real estate investment safe. And this is what we're preventing now all the operators not to invest in Saudi. And I think at one case, we will have that coming in, definitely.
Yeah. Saleh, would you consider a third-party management company?
I think it's very important. It's where we're considering this. It's very important in a view of that there are certain areas that maybe there are specialty that maybe the brands or the international operators, he cannot maybe specialize in certain areas. But if we have a third party who's specialized in in certain areas who can have the experience and the customs that lives with their clients, and also utilizing the international operator channels for sales and marketing. By this combination, I'm sure definitely that we will have maybe a better performance rather than having just one operator and one owner. And I think that the way that we see it here, maybe in this exhibition, that there are many third-party management firms that are starting promoting themselves and promoting marketing themselves as managing the properties with the franchise from the international operators. We are in Taiba also considering this and discussing this internally.
Right.
And I'm sorry, just want to add something. I think homegrown brands in hotels, I think is a very potential also subject here in Saudi. And this is the time of it. But we have to have all those prerequisites. You have to have the investors, you have to have the third-party operators, you have to do other things, but it is there. And especially, I was discussing with Saleh earlier, Mecca, Medina, we haven't got now somebody specialized only in those markets. It's different requirement, different setup, different clientele, and the journey, the experience is totally different. So there is a huge demand also on this. I think that's going to be the future.
Right. Well, that's good. And so tell me about where are you developing at the moment? Where do you see the hotspots and the exciting growth markets for your business?
We're currently, of course, our existing business in the properties in Medina, but we're having under construction now. We're having in Riyadh and Jeddah, and also more properties in Medina. Where are the hotspots? I think there's so many hotspots now in Saudi Arabia. Of course, Riyadh is the most important things that's having all of these demands right now. Maybe compared to the supply, it's more attractive to the investors. But the way I see it now, and with the initiatives from the government, that's going all over the country. So this is what we're looking for. We're targeting the whole cities in Saudi Arabia, and of course it's depend on the feasibility study that we're doing. Of course, still, because we are in dramatically changing of the demands and the numbers, we have lack of information, and that's why maybe we encourage the consultants and the research centers to work more on the solid information that the investors can rely on. And I think this is a very important part of any feasibility study, that we have a solid information that we can, rather than assumptions that maybe differ from time to time. I know it's very hard with these changes now that we're having, but I think with the government maybe help, we can get this solid information that we can base our feasibility study according to, and we know where are the hotspots for the future, because we have to plan for the future. I mean, it's nowadays the strategies we cannot based on what we are having, what the historical information. It's gone.
Yeah.
We are now in a new evolution. Now we are in a different numbers, and the people who will depend on the historical information, they will not be able to survive.
Yeah.
Now we have to have encouragement and optimistic for the future numbers on demand, especially.
So while I have you, very quickly on religious tourism, what has changed there? What innovation has taken place with religious tourism in attracting visitors to Mecca?
I think the most important thing, and the only thing maybe it's get changed now, the visa regulation. I mean, once they just started with this, maybe just they achieved 20% of what they're going to do it. We see during this year, Ramadan, and a huge number of people, either in visitors and in Medina and Mecca. If this continues, this facilitation, I'm sure that we'll have a huge demand, and we have to work on the supply.
Okay. All right. I can see our time's up, but one question as a conference organizer I'd like to ask you is give me one takeaway from the conference that you would like to mention.
Well, I think I would like really to thank the organizers for the conference. The level of the quality of the ladies and gentlemen I've met is amazing. So it was a very nice chance to network and know people. We've done some deals here and there. We've done some business as well. So very focused conference, very nice atmosphere. And I would like really to thank everybody again.
Okay, thank you for that. Mohammed?
I have to admit, what's happening outside this room was amazing. And I think the connection was very high level. We have met a lot of people. I have never been in meetings like this. I mean, and I really thank you. We've been with the government, we've been with the private sector. I think we have now we have to go back and probably spend 2 days now to summarize all those things, what need to be an action plan. It's not just saying hi and getting to know people. It's really basically what's next. So all of the guys that we have met, either from the private sector or from the government, we have said what's next and what we're going to do next week. Thank you, Jonathan, for this.
Thank you. I didn't mean this to be a promotional exercise. I was more meaning, what topics and takeaways from. But that's very kind of you. One last one.
I think the only say I can at this moment that I'm proud of having this dialogue of conversation between the government side and the private sector, and all these people coming from outside Saudi Arabia. I think this is enough achievement.
Okay. Yeah. No. I agree. I think it's great to have this collaboration and this discussion and an open discussion as well. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us. Please show your appreciation to a wonderful panel.